Does lack and limitation exist outside of us? Are we running out of things? The media will try to tell you that we are, and I don't want you to fall for that. We actually live in a world that is abundance. It is prosperity. It is not lack and limitation. There is no not enough going on. Don't you want to live an extravagant life? What in your mind tells you that having millions of dollars, billions of dollars is wrong? Abundance and happiness aren't correlated. Many of us think that once we have abundance, we will be happy. Does money make you have more freedom? Does it give you more opportunity? Will you be excited and go and buy a bunch of things and feel free? Yes. But after a little while, you're going to realize that it's not just about money. Money is not the one solution that will fix everything. You know what that one solution is? I am so excited to talk about wealth. I'm excited to talk about money. It has been one of many of the big changes in my life over the past 5 years. And what I can tell you is that it's not a little change. It's not subtle. It's actually very, very drastic. It has been a quantum leap upon quantum leap in my life related to finances. I went all in on this idea that if I change my consciousness and I go from a poverty or lack consciousness, that I could create a abundance or prosperity consciousness in my mind, and it would bring more money into my life. And that is exactly what happened. I have studied different authors, but most importantly, I have embodied the ideas that I studied. I played around with it. I pushed my limits. I pushed the boundaries. I took wild and daring action, and it has worked out tremendously for me. Even Chris, who was my spouse at the time, looked at me with wide eyes going like, what are we going to do here? And I'm like, trust. So I want to talk a little bit about me and my relationship with money and my journey. The reason I want to share this with you is because I really, really did certain things and made certain changes. And I was a certain way, and that way created the life that I lived. So before this work, before studying wealth and wealth consciousness, I always wanted more. And I would honestly tell you, I always had very expensive taste. So I was always someone that really, really liked nice things, and I always had a desire for more. And I remember I had this graphic I found once. It said something like, well, I got to get a job that pays me according to my taste because, this isn't working. But what I did is I became a registered nurse. And so when I became a registered nurse, I decided in that moment, okay, I was unaware, but I made the decision at that moment to be limited financially. And so what I mean by that is I chose a career path that had a cap. I was literally part of a union. There was an hourly wage cap. There was no additional way for me to make money. I would have had to do a second business or start a business, do something else, get a second job, because that vessel to receive my abundance through was limited. And it was limited to about $100,000 a year. I don't know too many nurses that are pushing past like maybe 110 a year. And you get pension and the benefits, but what's pension and the benefits when you're making $40 million? It doesn't really matter too much. So that version of me had enough money to pay my bills every single month, yes. So I wasn't going into debt every single month. I wasn't going like $2,000, $3,000 into debt. I built a life where the amount of money that we made as a family covered pretty much all of our bills and everything, our mortgage, our car, all that kind of stuff, without much left over. And then, we wanted to finish our basement. So we saved up money to finish our basement. And maybe that cost $25,000. It took us a couple years to save it up. And then we spent it on the basement because it would be a good investment. We would get a good return on our investment on our basement. Oh my gosh, would I do something like that now? Absolutely not. I would not. That is the worst return on investment ever. It is not going to make you millions of dollars to finish your basement for $25,000. I've taken a course for $25,000 that made me millions. See the difference in what we think is acceptable to invest in and not invest in? It's just so interesting what we're taught. So anyway, So I got into this material. I started studying. I started really opening my mind up. So what does it mean to have an open mind? It means to allow the subconscious mind to believe different ideas, to question and challenge, and to be curious about what do I currently believe about life, about the world, about myself, about money, about abundance, right? And to start thinking from what you would love to experience instead of what you've always experienced. Right? Every single rags to riches story that you will ever hear, what is the primary premise in these stories? They challenged the paradigm. They challenged the belief system. They challenged the environment. They said, yes, everyone else in my life is poor. Yes, I live in a poor environment. Yes, my world would tell me right now that I have $0. I maybe don't even have a house. I maybe don't even have anywhere to live. But you know what? That's not my reality. That is not my truth. And so they start thinking from a different place, a different experience. I have somebody that messaged me yesterday. They were in the last iteration of my Wealth from Within course, and they were homeless. And they messaged me, so homeless and invested in a course. What would the old version of you have said about that? What a waste of your money. Why would you put your money into a course? I think it was the most brilliant thing she could have done. She messaged me yesterday. She's 7 times her income. 7 times her income. So not such a silly decision anymore, is it? No. So this is what I'm talking about. I want to read you something from You Too Can Be Prosperous. Okay. I want to read you something really, really quick. So You Too Can Be Prosperous, Robert Russell. And this is it right here. So this was one of the first lines that I read that I went, okay. So we have got this all wrong. We think that money is about making money, about earning money. We think it's about business strategy. We think it's about opportunity. We think it's about having degrees. We think it's about skill sets. We think it's about what we're good at and who we know. I want to question all of that. So he says here, we all want wealth in one form or another, but financial wealth comes not through special abilities, talents, thrift, influence, environment, favorable conditions, or physical effort. It comes as a result of thinking, acting, and believing in a certain way. Thinking, acting, and believing. I would even add speaking. Thinking, acting, believing, speaking in a certain way. So what does that mean for every single one of us? Every single one of us has the same opportunity for wealth. If we believe it's skill, if we believe it's gender, if we believe it's race, if we believe it's education, if we believe it's influence, if we believe it's opportunity, then we think that there's something that they have, the wealthy have, that we don't have, and so we're screwed. There's nothing we can do. But this here, thinking, speaking, acting, believing, every single one of you has the ability to do this. There's no limitation. There is no cap. There is no flaw. There's no part of your consciousness that is less than or inferior. There is nothing about you that's keeping you blocked or away from wealth. It means every single one of us have the exact same opportunity to experience wealth to whatever degree we want. Why have I experienced wealth in such a phenomenal way? Because I'm willing to allow myself to have it. I'm willing to allow myself to receive it. I'm willing to think from that amount of money. I'm willing to act as if I have that amount of money. I'm willing to speak in language that allows that kind of money to come. And I'm willing to believe that that amount of money is available to me. So how does a registered nurse from a smaller town in Ontario, Canada, how does she go from making $100,000 a year to moving the energy of 42, we're probably at 42 million now over the past 5 years? How do you do that? You reprogram your beliefs. That's what you do. It is a matter of doing things in a certain way and of holding to that through thick or thin. That's the second piece, okay? So it's thinking in that certain way. It's being in that certain way. It's adopting a wealth consciousness and sticking to it no matter what. Do you think that somebody can come in here and say to me, oh, Kathleen, no, this is crazy. This is bananas. This is not real. This is not truth. Absolutely not. You can't convince me otherwise. I am convinced. And was someone convincing me? Did somebody come in here and say, Kathleen, you can be wealthy, trust me? No, I did that to myself. I convinced myself. So that's the truth about this. I'm working with a beautiful woman now. Her name is Brianna, and you could probably see her on my Instagram. She is helping me with my social media. I've also brought her on to support me in other ways because now everything is growing so quickly. We got so many comments and DMs and the views are going up on everything. My magnet is flourishing, which I'm so grateful for. But Brianna's supporting me. And one of the things that Brianna is helping me to be aware of is that my lifestyle now, 5 years later, is not the average lifestyle that everyone lives. And so things have become normal and natural for me. So I don't really even share about them or talk about them because they're who I am now, but they weren't before. And so I want to give you a couple of little examples of some ways in which wealth has come into my life that might be a little bit surprising to you and how different my life is. So for example, Christmas. Christmas time used to be a time where I would ask for Christmas all of the things that I didn't have the money to pay for throughout the year. So I would be like, get me all of my toiletries that cost a lot of money. Get me all of my skincare, refill my creams and my lotions and my potions, because those are going to cost me a couple $100. So give them to me as my Christmas gifts every year. And I would really want to be gifted things that I would use and that I needed. Nothing frivolous, nothing over the top. Everything I did in my life was based on need. What do I need in my life? And I only want that need to be fulfilled. I would never buy myself anything or whatever. Christmas time now, people are like, what do we get you? And I literally don't have an answer because I have everything I want in my life. Everything. If I want something, I go and I buy it. I don't even hesitate. I don't question it. My skincare, I just buy it on a random Wednesday. Like, I now buy things in bulk. I have my assistant order all of my stuff for me now, who's my beautiful sister. And so that's one example of the difference between a life that is restricted, that is limited, that feels small and lacking, where your birthday gifts or your Christmas gifts are deodorant, right? And this is very common. But now that I wouldn't get that. So now when people ask me, what do you want for Christmas or your birthday? I say something sentimental. I would love a bouquet of flowers. I would love a handwritten note. I would love a little message. I would love a video of you singing to me. You know what I mean? It's not about big things now because I can have anything I want and purchase it at any moment that I want it. And that's what I want for you. That's what prosperity is. True prosperity is getting what you want in the moment you want it. It's going and traveling to the place you want to travel in the moment you want to travel there. It's no restriction and no limitation. Is there another level for me? Of course. Of course there's another level. I have stayed in hotels where Lady Gaga was in the room right before me. New York City at the Plaza. I don't even know how much that hotel room was per night. I know it was $55,000 for like 5 days. So that's like $10,000, $12,000 a night. A night. Okay? So for me to make $12,000 in my past life, it would have been months. It probably would have been a year for me to have $12,000 extra dollars. And imagine that spending a one night in a hotel. We've flown private. I flew my team to Vegas. I think that was probably $100,000 just one way to go to Vegas with my team on a private jet, right? These are the types of things. These are the types of experiences that I've had because I changed my consciousness. I've also had the beautiful opportunity to do some pretty incredible charitable things. I've sponsored villages in Africa. I've dropped $10,000, $20,000 at live charitable functions where they're looking for donors and I get to raise my hand and be like, yes, I would love to do that. I'd love to make that. My grandmother was passing away a couple of months ago, I think it was now. And my sister and my brother would not have been able to go to say goodbye to my grandmother, and I got to just pay for their flights. And we all sat in first class on the way home together, mourning the loss of my grandmother who actually passed that very next day after we left. So these are the types of experiences that money has allowed me to step into. And for you, you might not feel like you want big luxurious things. You're like, I would never spend $12,000 a night at a hotel. Don't dismiss that idea, please. Because if you're making enough money to spend $12,000 a night at a hotel, you are rolling in it. You are drowning in it. You have more than enough. And I would never turn that away. So what I say to those opportunities, I toured a well, the inner circle actually came with me. I toured it a couple of times, and then they came with me, and we spent the day in a $68 million mansion in the Bel Air Canyons in California. And you know what my thought is? It's 20,000 square feet, the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. It was phenomenal. Would I buy that specific house myself? No, I wouldn't, no matter how much money I had, because I want to be on the ocean in Malibu. But what I said when I was in there was, I am open to receive this level of abundance. So every single time somebody tells a story, or they say this or they say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's for me. I'm open to receive that level of abundance. Because if the mind rejects it, if the mind says, no, that's bad, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that, that's awful, you're rejecting the very thing you want. And I want you to remain open to the receivership of that thing. Does that make sense? It's really beautiful. I was looking up my text messages with Bob Proctor the other day. And so it was really cool. I'll go and I'll look at it sometimes. I saved it. And one of the text messages that I sent to him was, and it just took me right back to that moment. I texted him and I said, Bob, remember when I made $1 million in 7 months? I said, I just made $1 million in 7 weeks. And then a couple months later, I said, Bob, I just made $1 million in 7 days. In 7 days. Collapsing time, just like this. And so I'm always willing to expand my wealth consciousness. I'm always willing to go further. I'm always willing to go deeper, to be braver, to be bolder, right? And if I can achieve this, if I can do this, and not through hard work, not through hustle and grind, not through degrees. Like I have a lot of degrees, but none about making money, right? This is a consciousness. Nobody taught me how to make money. Nobody taught me how to be a business owner. Nobody taught me how to sell on social media. It's all a consciousness. It's all a consciousness. And Bob was the first one to introduce me to this idea. And so if I can be the first one to introduce you to this idea, oh my gosh, let your life be changed, please. Let your life be changed. One of the things that is so incredibly important and powerful is the feeling of abundance. Okay? So we understand that we live in a vibrational world. What does that mean, a vibrational world? We are energy. Everything around us is energy. We are all made up of the same energy, right? So the feeling of abundance, okay? So what is the feeling that most of us are in? Lack of limitation, right? So most of us are living our everyday life in a lack feeling. And what does a lack feeling feel like? Is it good? No, it's not good. So to feel like you don't have enough, right? The feeling of not enough, that's lack. So it means something is missing. I think about it this way. When you feel so full, right, it doesn't mean that you're at capacity. But when you feel full, when you feel whole, when things feel really, really incredible and really, really amazing, that's our true state. Our true state is wholeness. So lack and limitation then is something in your mind, in your ego, that's telling you that there's not enough. What do we not have enough of in our lives? What are some of the major complaints that we have that we don't have enough of? Enough time, enough money, enough support, enough love, enough freedom, yeah, enough help, yeah, enough resources. We don't have enough education. We don't have enough experience. We don't have enough friends, connections, skills. Yeah. So when you're always feeling like you don't have enough, the vibration that you're giving off out into the world is not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. And what you will find is you will attract people in that same not enough energy. So you will call people into your life that want to talk about how there's not enough. And it becomes this dominant thing where we sit around and we just constantly complain, gossip, and vent about all the areas of our lives that aren't good. When I wish I was in school, I wish somebody sat me down and said, listen, if you talk about every single day with your friends, with your parents, with your colleagues, and with your peers, how amazing life is, And if you talk about all the things that you're grateful for and all the things that you love about your life, and you sit there and go out to lunch with the girls, and you guys just talk about how amazing you are and how incredible, and you try to like beat each other at how good your life is, it'll make your life really good. Like, I wish someone would teach our children that lesson, that every time we sit around and we complain and we gossip and we vent and we bitch and moan about our lives, holy cow, we are literally calling in that same experience. We are bringing it in. It is the law of attraction, right? So the law of vibration says we're always vibrating. We're always in a feeling. So if you are in that lack feeling, if you are in that not enough feeling, you're vibrating as that feeling, which then means you attract from that feeling. But here's another kicker, okay? This is really important. So there's the law of attraction, there's the law of vibration, but there's also guiding and directing source energy through your thoughts, through your feeling, through your action. So every single day, we are walking around directing source energy, God energy, to where we want it to go. And it's not like a magic wand. Okay, here's my selenite wand. So let's say this is our magic wand, right? And we say, okay, I'm a witch, I am magical, and I'm going to say, give me more money today. Okay, source, here, we're going here. So source energy comes through the wand and it says, oh, okay, this is where we're going. And it magically does that. It doesn't work that way. It's not like a magic wand. It's your thoughts. So every thought you have is your magic wand. Every feeling that you have every day is your magic wand. The words that you're speaking, magic wand. Energy that you're in, magic wand. The action that you take, magic wand. So you might be thinking to yourself, I would love to make more money. I would love that. But you're thinking about how you don't have enough. You're feeling like you never have enough. You lay in bed at night and you are dreaming about not having enough, or you're worried about not having enough. You wake up in the morning and you tell your husband, I really don't want to pay that bill today. Like, oh, we really can't afford this and we really can't afford that. And then you take action. Well, you know what? I really would love a Starbucks coffee this morning, but it's a little bit too much money. So I'm just going to make a coffee at home to save some money. All of your thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. Remember the things that at the beginning, what I read to you about prosperity, okay, in a certain way. So every time you are thinking like that, you're going, God, we're going here, lack and limitation. God, we're going here. God, we're going here. So you are actually using your magic wand to direct creative source energy, which creates everything. You're directing it towards who you are being, not who you want to be. This is where we get tripped up. You must be abundance. Eric asked me such a beautiful question yesterday. He said, Kathleen, I heard you say once that abundance is our natural state. Can you explain this to me? I don't get it. What do you mean? And I was like, okay, does lack and limitation exist outside of us? Does the feeling of not enough exist outside of us? Is it walking around in the world without us? Is it existing? Is it part of the world? Is the world a lack and limitation world? Are we running out of things? Okay, the media will try to tell you that we are, and I don't want you to fall for that. The media will try to tell you that there's some sort of economic recession. I would not believe that if I were you. The world is going to try to tell you that there's not enough running water. I wouldn't believe that if I were you. Okay, so these are all about beliefs that I'm talking about. So there's what the outside world wants to tell you is true. I'm just changing your focus to see that we actually live in a world that is abundance. It is prosperity. It is not lack and limitation. There is no not enough going on anywhere outside of your mind. So let's take a little walk outside the door right now. If I go outside and I look at my house and the world I live in, there is so much green here, I couldn't even count it. I couldn't count the grass. I couldn't count the leaves on the trees. There is so much green. It is overflowing and abundant, right? I'm right near the Great Lakes of Ontario. You can ride on the Great Lakes for months on a boat. You go in the ocean and not find land. So you can't tell me that there's not enough water on our planet. How long does it take? How many hours is a plane ride to go from Canada to Australia? 20-something hours? in a fast plane. Our world is so big. How many people are there in the world? And we just keep popping them out. We don't even know how many now. Last time I heard it was 6 billion. Now they say 7 billion. Now we're like, oh, they recalculated and we're up to 8 billion. Okay. And you think there's not enough? Wowzers. And then let's talk about money. Have you been to Vegas? Think about how much money goes through Vegas in one day. Okay? All those slot machines, all of those poker tables, baccarat tables. There is a lot of money. And then think about all the guests that are coming into Vegas. They all go for dinner and they all gamble and then they go to the shows and they stay in the hotels. There is a lot of money circulating around us. A lot. And it's not a supply issue. It's a demand issue. Okay? It's a demand issue. So what that means is there is so much money available to all of us. Unlimited amounts of money available to each and every one of us. What is kinking our hose is our belief systems. It's our demand. So you're not thinking about millions. So the universe is never going to give you millions. You'll never experience that which you don't first think of. How do I know that? It's a universal law. It's the perpetual transmutation of energy. Any idea held in the screen of the mind will manifest into the physical form by law. Creation begins in the mind. If you don't think about it, you will never experience it. Why do people win the lottery and then end up right where they were? It's not just about money, is it? So you can manifest winning the lottery, but then you don't change your consciousness, you don't change your belief systems, so you're still in the not enough feeling, in the poverty consciousness, and then you circulate the money that you won in the lottery, and then it's gone and no more comes. Change your consciousness to a wealth consciousness. So getting money doesn't create a wealth consciousness. If that were to be the case, then every single individual that won the lottery would continue to be wealthy over their lifetime. It's not the money that creates it. So we have this belief that once I get rich, then I'll think like a rich person. Doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. It is actually the wealth consciousness that then creates the wealth and the maintenance of the wealth and the increased levels of wealth into your life. And if you've done thing once, you can do it again and again and again and again. But you have to change the consciousness first. So the feeling of abundance, right? This is very powerful. The feeling of abundance. So the most important part of this entire journey is going to be in your self-awareness. If you are someone that is heavily in your ego, and I mean in your personal mind, you're not going to allow yourself to notice what you're thinking and feeling. But I want you to be an observer of your thoughts. I want you to be introspective. So introspective means that you're going to go inside and notice yourself. So if you're someone that's outside yourself all the time, you're watching podcasts, you're watching YouTubes, you're watching TV, you're always with your kids, you're always on the phone with a friend, you're always on social media scrolling, you're always working in your business. Where do you have time to be with yourself, to notice yourself, and to pay attention? I am very, very good at this. I want to give you a little example. I was meeting with my inner circle, and I made myself a drink that was greens. It was superfoods, and it had vegetables and fruit in it. And this is the power of the mind, but I'm giving you an example of how I use my mind for good and how I notice things. So I made this drink and I used a frother to froth it all up and bring it over. And I smelt it and it smelled pretty good. And then when I sit down to meet with my inner circle, I look at it and it's all starting to settle. It's all starting to settle in the bottle of the glass and I could see all the powder floating. And I looked at it, I went, oh, that looks disgusting. I'm going to hate that. Okay? So what did I do? Just leave it there? No. Because I know that getting the superfoods into my body is important. To get all those vitamins, nutrients, minerals is important. So if I believe that this is going to be disgusting and it's gross, then I'm not going to want to drink it. And I'm going to make the experience an awful experience for myself. So in that moment, right as I was opening up my inner circle, I had the thought, oh, this looks disgusting. I'm going to hate that. And I went, no. Kathleen, no. And in my head, I went, this is going to be delicious. This looks so good. I am going to love that. It is going to fuel my body perfectly. Yummy. And then I took a sip in the belief that I loved it and that it was delicious before I took a sip. And it was good. Honestly, it was good. I couldn't feel the powder. I did this with salad. Yes, you guys all know me. But this is exactly what I want you to do with money. So in the moment that you have a thought that is lack and limitation, you've got to be aware of it. You've got to notice. But if I'm on autopilot and I'm not self-aware, I'm not going to notice that I had that thought. I'm just going to have the thought, think it, take a sip and go, ugh, and put it aside, right? So this is where awareness and being an observer of yourself is very, very important. So I want you to notice, what are you thinking about money? What are you thinking about other people that have money? When I told you the stories about flying private and staying in the hotel and all the money that I was spending and how much money I spent on a hotel room for one night, what did you think? It's all awareness. And once you know it, you see it, right? You're 100% going to be able to experience that, right? Which is so beautiful. But if you're unaware of it, you don't see it. I thought it was extravagant. Don't you want to live an extravagant life? So question that. What in your mind tells you that having millions of dollars, billions of dollars is wrong? People will even say, oh, that's so materialistic. Okay, you're materialistic too. You know how you're materialistic too? You have material things as well. You have a house, you have a car, you have purses, you have jewelry, you have Zoom, you have internet, you have a TV. That's materials, right? So what you're actually saying when you're calling someone materialistic is you're actually judging someone's abundance and prosperity. You are making them wrong, which is keeping you in lack and limitation. It's not true and it's not real. It's not true and it's not real. If you want to experience higher levels of abundance and prosperity in your life, then you have to drop the judgment around money. And you have to notice what you're noticing about other people, other wealthy people. What is that experience? What does it feel like when other people have all this money and you don't? I got to the point where I was like, you did what? You made $1 million in a week? Oh, I'm here for that. I'm open to receive that, right? And the way in which my life has changed related to wealth and prosperity, my daughters' lives have changed. Every single person in my life's life has changed. Students' lives have changed. It's been so beautiful. And if you think about some of the most advanced individuals when it comes to wealth, do you know how much money they spend on charities and sponsorships and giveaways and how much economy they're creating? Think about Oprah and what she does and the economy that she's built and the impact that she's made in this world. Would you look at her and be like, how materialistic, Oprah? Of course not. It's so beautiful. She wasn't born into a life like that, right? She created wealth consciousness and she actually talks about and teaches this. This is her truth. Abundance and happiness aren't correlated. Many of us think that once we have abundance, we will be happy. It's not the truth. Because when you're functioning in a lack and limitation and a not enough vibration, you're in displeasure. And when you're in displeasure, even if money comes, the displeasure will still exist. You will find something else to be displeased with. Money doesn't fix your mood. Does money make you have more freedom? Does it give you more opportunity? Will you be excited and go and buy a bunch of things and feel free? Yes. But after a little while, you're going to realize that it's not just about money. Money doesn't fix all your problems. Money won't fix your marriage. It won't fix your health. Money is not going to fix the idea of who you think you are in your mind. Money is not the one solution that will fix everything. You know what that one solution is? You. Yeah. That one solution is the way you see the world. It's what you believe in. It's the way you show up. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. So what I would love for all of you, what my desire is for all of you, is that all of you manifest a human experience that is so full of love, so full of joy, so full of peace, and so full of abundance that you have everything. And that you've created this consciousness that has learned how to go with the flow. So that no matter what comes at you, no matter what adversity or contrast or life experience comes your way, that you just go with the flow, right? So there will always be turbulence in life. The wealthy don't just have a safe, smooth flight in their life. They still experience turbulence, right? There's always going to be loss. There's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be experiences that we're all going to have, no matter how much money that you do have. So I want to create this beautiful consciousness. And I use the example of being on an airplane, right? When you're on an airplane, when I'm on an airplane and there's turbulence, I literally like hold my glass of ice water up and I just ride the turbulence. And I'm like, oh, fun ride. This is great. Knowing I'm going to land safely, knowing everything's okay. It's all working out in my favor. There's going to be some bumps. And sometimes I might get a little nauseous. I get that feeling. I'm like, oh, I'm glad that nauseous feeling's going away now. I would never say I'm nauseous. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that nauseous feeling's going away now. But like 2 rows over, this lady's sitting there and she's gripping like this and crying and so upset and so scared. And she's fighting for her life on this airplane. How do we have 2 different experiences of the same thing? Because one of us is in a fear-based paradigm and one of us is in a faith-based paradigm. One of us has that certainty, that knowing. One of us has a nervous system that's calm and relaxed. And the other version of us is gripping tightly, nervous system triggered and activated, in fight or flight. So do you think that that individual is just in fight or flight on the airplane? No, they're in fight or flight in their life. They're just unaware of it. It shows up on the airplane, but they're in fight or flight in their life. So where in your life are you in fight or flight? Where in your life are you in fear? Where in your life are you fighting the turbulence? You're fighting the waves. That's where the awareness is, right? So I want all of you to experience the good life. Every time everybody asks me now, they're like, Kathleen, how are you? I'm like, amazing. Like, I'm literally amazing. Like, life is so good. Well, I'm open to see how much better life can get. It is so good. But it's because the more I go into this work and the more that I emotionally regulate and the more aware I become and the more I change my belief systems and the more I let things flow in and out of my life, the more I don't take things so serious, the better my life gets. It's not coincidence. It's by design. It's not coincidence. It's by design. So I want to move you from lack and limitation to abundance and prosperity. The first step to doing that is to acknowledge where the lack is present in your life. So where is the lack thinking? Where do you speak words that come from lack and limitation? Where do you feel like you're not enough, there's not enough? And where do you take action from the idea of not enough, right? So one beautiful example, when someone signs up for my millionaire program, they make the decision, I want to take your millionaire program. And they take action from that want. I believe this course is going to make me a millionaire. I believe I'm worthy of the millions. I make the decision to enroll in it. I sign up, I pay. Maybe it's a payment plan. Maybe it's pay in full. They make that decision. They experience incredible growth and success from the decision that they made to move on the idea of being a millionaire. So somebody messaged me the other day and they said that they have 20 times more freedom in their life and they're only 2/3 of the way through the program. 20 times more freedom in their life, 2/3 of the way. So what happened there? They acted upon a prosperity idea. They let go of doubt, worry, fear, and they acted in faith and certainty and made the decision. Now, what happens if you decide you want to take the millionaire program? You're just about to do it, and then you say, no, I'm going to wait. What are you doing? You're acting in the assumption that there's not enough. You're making a decision from lack and limitation. You're letting fear, worry, and doubt in, and you're now acting in the assumption from lack. So you're literally saying, universe, no millions. Not here. Don't come here. You're not welcome here. So I'm always like, ooh, don't close the door. Don't decide not to. Keep the door open. Allow yourself to be open to receive in all ways. One little example, how you're acting in limitation. So I want you to be aware of where the limitations are. Where is that not enough? Then I want to move you out of needing more money to wanting it. If you need more money in your life right now, if you need it, you're attached to it. What do I mean by that? When you need something in your life, you have an emotional attachment to the need for it, which means you are in lack and limitation because you don't have it. When you need something, you don't have something. So you are very firmly stuck in the need for something. So we see this in the dating world all the time. I need a man in my life. My life is missing something. I don't have something. And so if you need, do you think men find that needy energy attractive? They are like, whew, this woman is like attached at the hip. No way, I'm out of here. It's a very unattractive energy, right? So what's the attractive energy? Want is an attractive energy. Want. So when you want for something, it's a very different energy than need, right? So if you need a baby, you cannot get pregnant and you need a baby. Your life is not going to be fulfilled. Your dream is to be a mother. And it has been a year and you've tried every single month for a year and it is not working. And you need it. You really do. Every single month you get that negative test and you are just floored. You're crestfallen, right? You need it. You're attached. So that attachment energy, it's gripping tightly. It's tense. And when something is tense like this, it's not in that flow state. It's not in the let state. It's not in the surrender state. So you are revved up and tense. Why do you think their massage therapy is such a powerful industry right now? Because we got a whole bunch of really tense individuals around, stressed to the max. They need massages to loosen them up, right? So I'm just getting you to loosen it up in the mind, in the thinking. So say to the universe, you know what? I would absolutely love a baby, but if I never get it, that's okay. Life is good. I trust that I will have my baby. It's okay. That's all it is a surrender and it's a let. I used to be a labor and delivery nurse, okay? And so women would come in and they would be in labor and they would be upset and stressed out and tense. And they were like this and they're holding on and I'm trying to get them to relax. Then we give them an epidural and then suddenly they're relaxed. They fully dilate. Where for like 8 hours, 10 hours, they were stuck at 2 centimeters dilated. Did the epidural help them dilate? No. It was that they relaxed. They they surrendered. Why do women go and get IVF for their first baby and then their second baby, they naturally get pregnant by accident? Because the need for a baby's gone. The attachment is gone. So that's where I want you to be when it comes to money. I'm just giving you real life examples so you can see that it's the same energy when it comes to money. If you're gripping it tightly, if you're holding on to it, if you need it for your worth, for your importance, for your value, for your life to be better, you're gripping it so tightly that you're not surrendering, you're not letting, and you're not relaxing. So when I launched my coaching business in January of 2020, my ego did not need millions of dollars. My life didn't need it. I was in this energy of like, listen, I am abundance and prosperity. I have convinced myself I'm a millionaire and now I'm just going to collect it all. Let's go. And I was so excited. I was in joyful expectation. I allowed it all to come. But when it's attachment, need, you're not in the want. So it's okay to want and it's okay to desire. That's the beginning point of all manifestation. But that's not the end point. You can't stay in want. You can't stay in desire. You have to act from the having feeling. Okay, so need, to want, desire, to believing it's possible for you, to knowing it's who you are. That's the having.